up for at all.
I think it comes down to Purdy. Like, to be honest with you, like, this was just all about Brock Purdy to me. Like, you see what Josh Allen is. Josh Allen's making $40 million a year. And Purdy's set to make 20, 30 million more per year than him. Like, I can't stomach it. Like, this just showed you everything. We talked about it. This guy struggles to throw in the fucking heat when his hands are a little sweaty. How do you think he's going to fare in snow? And we saw it, bro. I've never seen him so, like, I don't know if he was hurt. They said he was healthy. Shanahan and him both said he was healthy. I'll take their word for it, whatever. You're out there, you're healthy. You put out whoever gives us the best chance to win. And if you think he gives us the best chance to win, I'll live with it. But I've never seen him pump fake that much. I mean, we said it. We were texting each other. We said, he's pump faking so much, and you said, he's going to fumble one of these. He's for sure. And it happens. You fumble. You lose the fumble, of course, whatever. Just didn't seem confident in himself. They had that illegal contact or whatever where he just throws a duck down the field, gets picked off by DeMar Hamlin. And from that moment on, until they were getting fucking blown out, they had no confidence in him. They weren't calling any pass plays for him. He wasn't throwing the ball himself. He was pump faking whenever he got the opportunity. And he just lost all his confidence. And it's something you haven't seen in the Niners and haven't seen in Brock. And it just feels like the door's shut, man. Like, it was a little glimmer. Like, we didn't think they'd win, but we're like, it's the NFL. Like, you never know. Maybe they win. If they win, they're back. Done. Like, done.
So we're going to get into that, but just for the Purdy conversation, I mean, for this game, clearly had no faith in either his arm or the fact that he could hold on to the ball and throw in this kind of weather. It was clear right away. I mean, try to get the ball out as early as possible. On that first drive, the 3rd and 7 to Christian McCaffrey, dude didn't even start to get into his move, threw it right at his back, right? I mean, really shaky, and the Niners didn't have a pass game, right? I mean, did you ever feel confident that we could pass it downfield? It was only going to be the run game. That's why when we went down 2 scores, you kind of knew. You're like, we're going to have to go like 1960s football to try to score on these guys. And the way that I think about it, I mean, what if we didn't chalk this up to a scheduled loss? What if this is like a playoff game in Green Bay or just another big game to like get us into the playoffs? Because that's going to happen if you re-sign Brock Purdy for 5 years, because that's the conversation, right?
It has to be the biggest.
The season's over. So when we look at Brock Purdy, when we assess what he did today, you got to think about it in the sense of, are you going to re-sign this guy for $60 million over the next 5 years?
Chase.
What I'm going to say is that this is my initial reaction. And I was different at the start of the year. At the start of the year, I would have told you, we got to sign him right now.
I think
He's
2
the
weeks
guy.
ago you were making the argument.
2 weeks ago, I was making the argument, but you got the last year of his rookie contract. You got to let him play it out. You can't re-sign him because there are going to be changes coming to this Niner team. I mean, you don't know where this Niners team is going to go in the next couple of years. You don't put 250, $300 million contracts on your books when you don't know where you're going to be in the next couple of years.
I mean, we'll tie it in where how we got to this point, everything, like the Purdy conversation, it all ties together. But we said it, like, do you think for the rest of Purdy's career, they will have as much talent around him as they did last year?
No.
Exactly. And that's not to say he can't improve, because he can improve, and we've seen it in his legs. But you see it, like, you don't want like another Tua situation. Like, they're oddly similar. When the conditions are perfect, you know, they got a weaker arm. When the weather gets cold. And, like, even with Goff, like, guys like that, like, when everything is going right for them, they look fine. They look like they could be a top 5 quarterback in the league. They can make all the throws. But as soon as you put a little adversity in it, right, you got to deal with a better pass rush. You got to deal with the weather. You got to deal with heat. You got to deal with wind. You got to deal with rain. You got to deal with snow. They're clearly not the same guys, right? I just chalk it up. You're a Jag. You know what that is? Just another guy. You're a Jag.
100%.
Purdy's just another guy. And if you're looking to pay him, it's like we say it like in the NBA. When do you get fucked? It's not when you pay superstars what they deserve. It's when you play mid-level guys as if they're superstars, because you can't get off those contracts. I mean, look at what happened with the Broncos. They paid Russell Wilson $50 million just to get the fuck off their team. Do you want a situation like, and look at how much better they are without him. Like, do you want a situation like that? You can't just pay this guy because you know, okay, we've been in quarterback hell. We know what it could be like. You'd rather be in that, rather be building up, than have this guy on your books for 4 years making $67 million and you're just stuck because the roster's going to keep going down. How did they get to this point? It's because they fucked up every move. They have no studs. They have no young studs on that roster anymore. Everyone's getting old, and now everyone's injured. So what could you do? You have like no identity. You have nowhere you could just turn to like help him out. It's on him. He's bearing the burden of the franchise on his shoulders, and he just can't carry it. You look at the other side of the field. Can you seriously tell me with a straight face that Josh Allen had more talent on that offense than we do on ours?
So this is what I'll say. You're right, Sage. Just looking at this team and what the depth of this entire roster is going to be if you sign Brock Purdy at $60 million a year, you can't justify it. You can't justify it. I mean,
you're going to get fucked if you do. You're going to get fucked.
Let's think about it, Sage.
Let's think.
Can you really trust a quarterback where if it's 90 degrees and his hands get a little sweaty, that's an actual reason why the ball could just fall out of his hand and he could have a bad game? Can you justify paying a quarterback $60 million where if there's a little bit of rain, he can't complete a pass 10 yards downfield? We just saw what he did in the snow. If the conditions aren't perfect where it comes to weather and his team, the guy clearly isn't the same. Like I said, I like Brock. I like the mobility aspect of his game. I think mentally he's very sound. And that's something that you need at the quarterback position. I hate to do this, but there's a reason he was the last pick in the draft, right?
100%.
It's the
100%.
physical attributes. It's the arm. And once you take away something or you throw in adverse conditions, he looks like the last pick in the draft.
No,
okay?
It's straight up. It's straight up. Like you look at these franchises, right? Like you look at these good guys at quarterback who never won it, but their franchises stuck to them. That's how you don't win. You look at like a Phillip Rivers situation, right? You look at like a Matt Ryan situation. I know these guys got close, but unless they like pull something out of their ass like Flacco or Eli Manning where they just go on Cinderella runs in the playoffs, like you look at these teams, they keep turning because they don't want to be mediocre or bad at quarterback, and it gets you nowhere. You go like 10, 15 years just like kind of middling, and then once those guys leave, you're kind of fucked, right? So why would you want to do that with Brock? I mean, him not being able to throw in the heat should have been an immediate red flag. Like, really? This guy can't throw in the fucking heat? Like, it's not just the wind or the rain. Like, what the fuck is that?
So this is what I'll say, though, Sage. I'm just saying for this next year, don't dive into it right away. You're still only paying him about, what, $1 million next year?
Yeah, 500 something.
There's going to be a lot of questions answered next year, okay? There's going to be a lot of people that are cut. We're going to have to retool this roster. Brock, you got to fight next year for that contract. You got to prove it to us again because you've had some ugly games this year. You've had some ugly games. When everything fell around you, you weren't able to lift a team up and get us to the playoffs somehow. Get us across that mark to win the NFC West. You know who can do that? The guy you were going up against on Sunday. How many times have we seen the Bills just defense wrecked with injuries? No offensive weapons. I mean, I like some of the wide receivers. You don't really like the wide receivers on the Bills. We can both agree that they're not household names, except for Amari Cooper, who you just got a couple weeks ago.
I mean, what did their wide receivers even do yesterday? It was just all running and all the fear of Josh. That's what like created all those holes and everything.
That's a max level contract quarterback right there.
100%.
That dude is an absolute stud. That's a franchise quarterback. You tie your entire future to that guy. And it's just hard for me to say that that's Purdy. It really is. It looked ugly. It looked really ugly. And like I said, I'm the optimist. Sage is the pessimist. You can't, if you're a 49ers fan or a 49ers guy in the media, there's no way you could stand on the podium and be like, Brock Purdy should get signed no matter what. He's done enough. Give him $60 million a year. It was ugly. Uglier than I've seen, I think, in the entire NFL all year. It was that bad. It was that bad.
I mean, this